Shahin Safai is the founder and CEO of Royal Personal Training, one of the premier private training facilities in Beverly Hills, California. His story reads like a script for a Hollywood movie. There is a journey to a new land, starting at the bottom and climbing to the top of an unforgiving industry, and of course, a pretty girl. But this movie is no frivolous, made-up story. His life is the result of overcoming multiple failures, almost losing his business, and living to tell his story another day. In short, it is the American dream writ large. Shahin says he has succeeded because he has tried and failed, and each time he got knocked down, he got back up. As he will tell you, he's been through the battles, but for him, giving up was never an option. Hello, and welcome to another installment of At the Podium with me, Patrick Huey. At the Podium is a platform where we will learn from people who come from different walks of life, careers, and experiences, but all share one thing in common. They have stepped fully into the transformative power of saying yes to the unexpected turns of their lives. And they are now using the power of their voice or podium to make an impact on the world we live in today. At the Podium is the intersection of art, culture, and big thoughts wrapped up in good, old-fashioned conversation. Today, I'm thrilled and humbled to share the podium with Shahin Safai. Born in a small town in Norway, Shahin left formal education in just the 7th grade to help support his family. His passion for sports and fitness, coupled with his relentless desire to succeed, has transformed his life. He moved to America in 2011 without speaking a word of English in the hopes of finding a better life for him and his family. Undeterred by a lack of resources, he set out to create his own American dream. He worked a job as a hotel valet to support himself, sometimes working 18 hours a day. Shahin's story took a remarkable turn after landing an entry-level job at Equinox Fitness Center in Beverly Hills, California. Shahin proved in just a month he had what it took to become a full-time personal trainer. He quickly became not only a highly respected trainer, but one of Equinox's top producers nationwide. For the next year, Shahin crushed sales and production goals and absorbed everything about the industry around him. He then decided to take a leap of faith, leave Equinox, and create his own company, Royal Personal Training. Shahin has been able to channel his passion for elite fitness into the vision that is Royal Personal Training, and he is ready to share his vision for fitness with others. Before we hear from Shahin, I want to invite you to share at the podium with the people in your lives. If you find our conversation today helpful, and I hope that you will, take a screenshot and share on your Instagram and tag at the podium _Patrick Huey. Or if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, share our links there. Your shares, likes, and 5-star written reviews help grow our audience and move us up the charts. I am grateful for your support in this capacity. Okay, Shahin, welcome to At the Podium.
Patrick, I'm humbled to be here. Thank you.
When we launched this platform, I really wanted to talk to you because your story is so remarkable. And I think in many ways, your journey really epitomizes what the American dream is and can be.
Yes. And sitting here, listening to it, it just, it does something, because when you're in this race and you keep going, you kind of get, unfortunately, I don't take too much out of my day to reflect on the past and what I've done in the past, because my focus just building the vision that I have. So hearing you kind of speaking, it kind of takes me back, and I'm very happy I'm able to do this, because in the process that I was in, I was looking up to people like myself today, and those were the people that were giving me hope and giving me the mentality of never giving up. And if you put in the work, you're able to, especially in the country that we're blessed in living in.
Absolutely. So for those of people who are listening, tell us about Royal Personal Training and what your broader vision is for elite fitness.
So Royal Personal Training is a high-end private training facility. At the moment, we're training all the Fortune 500 CEOs, athletes, celebrities, YouTubers, TikTokers, influencers. We're personalizing one-on-one personal training, and we are currently at an 8,000 square feet facility. The future of Royal Personal Training is going to stay the same, but become the largest health and fitness facility in the world.
Why do you think it's resonated so well with so many people, Royal Personal Training?
I put a lot of weight into creating a community. So being in the country, being a trainer at the different training facilities, seeing a lot of trainers, obviously I handpick the trainers to be full-time trainers that love health and fitness. That's the number one. I train them to become the best absolute version of themselves because I see the potential in them. But then I put a lot of weight in feeling each individual. When I started, I had a couple members. Now I have over 6,000 members. We do over 3,000 sessions a month. But I think what makes it special and what makes the retention rate so high, not only result, it's the community that we're creating, and we're just a big family. I put a lot of weight in to my trainers and my staff to treat all the clients like their own, treat them with beyond respect, make them feel welcome. I think that's what I'm hearing more and more. It's creating a community that they feel very grateful and very happy and excited to be a part of every single day. So it's so much more than coming in and getting a personal training session.
You really build that sense of family, community, an environment where people feel accepted and welcomed, which in the fitness world can sometimes be challenging in a fitness model where people feel that. Just because of the nature of what people do in the fitness center, it can sometimes feel like, oh, I'm not welcomed here because I'm not in the best shape, or I don't look like everyone else who's working out here. And you've been able to, within Royal Personal Training, to create that environment for people.
Yes. What we hear a lot from the outside, obviously, when people look us up or present on social media, it can intimidate certain people looking at their Instagram and be like, oh my God, this is a place all the models goes. And they might feel a type of way coming in. But then the second they come in, there is no difference between each individual there. They're all equally the same. And everyone treats everyone the same, and they just fall in love. They just fall in love.
I've been to your location in Beverly Hills. It does have a very close-knit family feel to it. When they walk into Royal Personal Training, it really feels like you're walking into an environment that's very welcoming and arms open to whatever your journey, your fitness health journey may be.
Yes. I think one of the main reasons is because when I first started this, I always put myself in the client's shoes. I always wanted to know how I would like to be treated. And I knew how I like to be treated when I went to get my hair cut at a beautiful 5-star hotel when they knew me by name. And that feeling was special. So that's what I teach everyone, to make people feel special, recognize them with name, and know what the clients want, and create and build something around the client. And that's what I'm constantly are doing.
How did you get here? You grew up in Norway. Your father was a painter. Your mother worked in a bakery, in a pastry shop. How did you find your way to America from Norway?
So I'm born and raised in Norway. My parents are from Iran. During the revolution, they moved to Norway. My dad's side of the family, they moved to America. So through my aunt, my dad got us green cards ever since we were a child, in hopes, and maybe if one time when we grow up, I have a brother and I have a sister. So maybe at one point when we grow up, we wanted to move here. I had zero desire to move here because things were going well for me in Norway. My sister, when she turned 18, she wanted to go to the US. So when she was 18, she moved here with my brother. I didn't want to move. So I stayed in Norway. But then for my parents, they came here to visit my brother and sister. Then they came back to Norway to visit me. Then they bounced back to Iran. So they kept asking me if I could move to the US. So all the kids were together. And then at age 22, I decided in 2011 to move to the US.
When you were in Norway growing up, in the 7th grade, you decided to leave school to help support your family. What caused that decision to be made?
I remember waking up, and this is a little bit emotional subject to me, but I remember waking up every morning and I didn't see my parents because they were up early going to work, and it was hard for me to see them work so hard. I didn't really learn anything. School wasn't really for me. Every time I was in class, I couldn't really pay attention. I didn't really learn much. I wasn't motivated by reading books or listening to a teacher. So I was so young, but I took on a newspaper job where I was delivering newspapers on doors to doors. I received some money from that, gave it to my parents, and they were so proud. So I decided to drop out, to just work, to make money and help my family.
Do you feel like you missed anything by not completing high school and junior high school?
Everyone was, you're crazy, you can't leave school, you need school. And I was worried that, and there've been times that I still thought about it. But I just believed in kind of my work ethic and what I could accomplish by working and kind of thinking. I believe a little bit different than other people from a very young age. I always had big visions, sometimes so big where people thought I was crazy. So I knew the way I think and the way I work, I might succeed with something. I didn't really know what back then. So I trusted that the school wasn't for me and it wouldn't really affect what I was going to do. I always saw myself being very successful. But to be honest, I didn't really know back then what I had to do in order to be that successful. But I always wanted to be successful.
You joined your family in America. You arrived here and you didn't speak a word of English. What did that feel like?
I got introduced to a whole new world. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. It was everything I watched on the TVs back in Norway. I came in the heart of Beverly Hills. It was tough because I personally didn't want to move. I made the move because I wanted to be closer to my siblings because of my parents. And obviously the opportunities was a lot more here versus where I was. So kind of moving here, not knowing anyone, not knowing the language from what I had established back in Norway was super, super tough.
So where do you begin?
I didn't know where to start. I'm not gonna lie, for a second, I regret dropping out of school because I knew by continuing at school, I wouldn't be in this position because my sister did and she spoke perfectly fine. So I'm like, should I have been at school and I would have been in a better position right now? But that thought lasted a few days and then I was back on my feet and I figured it out.
How did you do that? I mean, English is not an easy language to speak. How did you navigate that?
So I remember I moved. My sister lived at the Crescent in Beverly Hills. So I was staying with her. I asked her to look up the closest gym because I want to go to the gym. That's what I want to do right away. And it was a 24-hour fitness on Pico and Beverly. So it was 1.2 miles away. I start walking to that gym. And by walking to that gym, I walked by a hotel called the Mr. C Hotel. Walked by that hotel and I got into the gym. And then the second I will walk past the hotel and I was at the gym, I remember thinking I should probably on my way back go there and get a job there, because the only way for me to be able to learn and speak English, interacting with people, that's the only way. I'm not going to go to school here. So when I left gym, I walked into the hotel and I remember the manager there, his name was Brandon, that I need a job. And he said, "Do you know how to drive stick shift?" Of course. And the next day at 8 o'clock, I put my shirt on, I came, and he gave me a week trial as a valet there. And I loved cars and I was a great driver. So I did very well. And he hired me. Started there. I started interacting with the employees, with clients, and I kind of were able to see how things are working in Beverly Hills. And that's how we started.
You just landed in a country where you didn't speak English fluently, and you get a job at a hotel where you force yourself to interact with people, to learn the language. What did that experience teach you?
I'm not going to lie, it was super tough because I was doing overnight shift and you have these drunk people, and obviously my English wasn't good. So sometimes I had a hard time understanding them, and they put me down, and they were drunk, So it was tough. It was really tough, to points that I was sitting in the booth 2 a.m, 3 a.m, writing long letters to my sister, kind of upset for them forcing me to come here when things were good in Norway. I was crying. It was hard. It was hard, but I never really started anything without finishing it. So for me, I just had to force making it happen.
I know that Equinox is such a pivotal part of your story. Without Equinox, there is no Royal Personal Training. So how did you make that transition from the hotel at Mr. C's, being the overnight valet, to working for Equinox? How did that happen?
So obviously, over the time of working at Mr. C Hotel, I met this one guest, this beautiful lady, and she told me, she said, "What the heck are you doing here?" She said, "You're too good looking to being a valet. What's up? What's the story?" And I were able to tell her my story, and she fell in love. She got my phone number. She kept texting me. She kept calling me. She tried to do everything to help me. She was like, "What about you being a trainer?" She said, "You're fit." I said, I can try. I mean, I never done it before, but I can try. She knew this one guy at the membership advisor at Equinox Beverly Hills that kept calling her because she had canceled her membership. And she told me, "Shahin, if I sign up and get your interview, will you go?" I said, "I will go. You need to come with me." And she said, "I absolutely will." And the reason I know all these parts is because they all work with me right now. So I know the inside of this. So Bo gets this call from her saying, "I will join, but you need to give my boyfriend an interview as a personal trainer." So Bo tells the PTM, Dylan, "Listen, just get this guy come in for interview. You don't need to hire him. Just get him the interview so I can get the sale." And he said, "Oh, okay, I will do this for you. No problem." So I get the interview, and there was no talks about hiring me. They were just going to give me the interview for Bo to get the sale. So I come in as a person that doesn't speak English. I come in for interview, and all I could tell him was, "I work hard. I will work hard. I will work hard." And he gave me the interview, but I never heard anything back. And I was so persistent by calling. And the reason I know this story so well is because, again, he used to work with me. So I know the inside. And he said that the persistent and all the calls and the email made him call me back in. So I came back in, and he had me train one of the trainers there, and I did great. And they decided to hire me. And this was during December. And the only reason that they choose to hire me, they hire 20 people a month. The reason they choose to hire me in December is because all the trainers, all the staff, they went home for the holidays, Christmas, so they were a little bit short, and therefore, let's give him a try. Like, if it works for a month, it works. If not, it just rolls out, bleeds out. So I came in at December. Right away, I got on board. Everyone approached me because they were going away for holidays, and they had this floor shift of 4 hours a day, where they put on a blue shirt and then they pick up the weights, the towels, and they all asked me if I want to take this floor shift. And I was making $10 an hour, and now I was making 16. And I'm like, yeah, of course I will do it. So I took on all the floor shifts from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. And I thought that was my job. So I started doing that. And then during my shift, I see these other trainers like wearing this black shirt and they're training people. So I remember I went up to the PTM, the personal training manager, Dylan, and I said, how come I can't wear this black shirt? How come I can't train these people? And he was like, you can, you have to be full time. You have to do 42 sessions every 2 weeks. You have to do 95 sessions a month. And that way you can wear a black shirt and train people. And I'm like, well, how do I do that? Because these guys, they were doing consultations and they were able to sell them through a consultation, but I couldn't speak English. So for me, consultation were off the table. So I find my own way of doing it. I every day showed up 5, 6 a.m. I was standing downstairs by the locker room because I knew if I approach these people when they're on the floor, they're in their zone and they're not gonna like that, because I tried it and they did not like that. And when they were on the treadmill warming up, they already had a plan and they didn't want to be bothered. So I'm like, I got to go down to the locker rooms. And the second they come out, I got to grab them and say, let's train. I'm going to give you a free training session. And that's what I did, probably 10 to 12 a day. And out of that, one started paying, one became a client. So after 2 months, by February 2012, I was full-time. So when everyone came back from the holiday, all of a sudden I was in black shirt, doing 110 sessions. By March, I was doing 145, 150 sessions. I was the top trainer in the club, and everyone was just shocked because this was a trainer that didn't speak a word English. This was a trainer everyone made fun of. And I was the top trainer in the club. And now on our monthly meeting, I was speaking, and their PTM and the GM was talking about how this guy that barely speak a word English, our top trainer, not in a bad way, but you guys are been here for years, some of them 10 years, 20 years, you have X amount of certifications. And this guy just has his basic certification that we helped him get. He'd been here for 3 months and he's the top trainer in the club and he doesn't even speak English. How is that even possible? And then within 6 months, I was one of the top trainers in the nation. And I had built up such a large clientele. And again, a lot of people, I had some people that were overweight and they were intimidated by training around so many people at the gym. And we had these group studios at Equinox where they teach group classes. And when they weren't teaching classes, these rooms were empty. And some of my clients asked me, can we go to a more quieter place? So I asked my PTM, I said, listen, is there any way to utilize these group classes if there is no groups going on? And he just looked at me weird. I'm like, why would you do that? But yes, you can. So I started bringing my clients to these group rooms and was training them privately. And I saw a whole different side out of these clients. They felt like 100 pounds going off their shoulders. They were completely different people, so happy, and start doing so much more. And that's where I realized that they're intimidated. They're not able to be themselves in a crowded gym. Like the Equinox pre-COVID Beverly Hills was just a scenic environment where a group of people came. Some of them were serious with the workouts, but others wanted to like chit chat, lift some weights. And for others, especially someone that was uncomfortable being in their own body, it was a little bit too much for them to start performing in front of so many people. So when I took them to this group studio, which was completely private, they just became a whole different person. And I'm like, oh my God, that's where it hit me. I need to open up a Equinox without a membership. I need to open up a high-end private training facility where we just do one personal training. And that's when I start thinking and start strategizing. And that's how Royal Personal Training came into my head.
Shahin, for people listening, explain what the blue shirt meant and what the black shirt meant at Equinox.
So the blue shirt, it's a shirt you wear as a floor shift. So the blue shirt you wear to pick up towels, to pick up weights, to pick up stuff after each other, to make sure the gym is clear. Those ones that aren't full time, they are doing floor shifts. When you do a floor shift, you wear the blue shirt. And the black shirt is when you're full time and you have clients you're training. You don't have to do floor shifts anymore. But I didn't know better. I thought the blue shirt and that was the job. I thought picking up weights and being at the gym, that was the job. And until I saw someone in the black shirt training and I asked, and that's how I went to the black shirt.
I think what's so impressive about this moment in your life at Equinox is that you really displayed what people call the entrepreneurial spirit. Where did that come from within you? It seems to have been a part of everything that you've done in your life. Have this ability to really grasp, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do. So much so that you moved to a country where you don't speak the language. Where does that come from within you?
So I always had a work ethic in me, and I always been very competitive. So anytime I compete, I played soccer on a high level. I always performed best. I was doing cross-country skiing. I always did the best. I was doing cycling. I always did the best. And my work ethic, people work 10 hours a day. I worked 16 hours, 2 days a day. So my work ethic always been there. And it was there ever since I saw the work my parents was putting in as a kid. But I never owned a business before. I never had the opportunity to even thinking about owning a business because in Norway, it's very, very, very hard. In America, you're able to, you have a decent credit, you're able to open up a business. It doesn't really take too much to open up a business. But in Norway, unfortunately, you can't. So that, I never thought about opening up a business in Norway, but the mentality always been there. So when I came here and I saw how fast I scaled from being a valet to becoming a trainer, and then become the top trainer, then one of the top trainers in the nation, and how big of a deal that was, I knew this is the country that if I really work the way I work, I will be able to make it done. So how did Royal Personal Training begin? You see that when you take your clients to a private studio, they don't have the pressure of eyes watching them. Their lives transform. How did you translate that in your mind? So saying, okay, I'm going to go find my own space. I'm going to leave behind the success I'm having at Equinox and go and open my own space. What was that transition? So I started thinking right away when it hit me. I was still at Equinox and I started thinking, and I kind of looked into the whole of what I can close and what I can do better. I mean, Equinox is closer to $1 billion brand, if not, there are $1 billion brand, but obviously I could not compete with them, and my goal was not to compete with them. But now I start looking into other private training facilities, what they do and what I can do, and just I knew I had enough clients where if they support me, I'm able to open up a small place. But what was the future? What was the vision? And the vision was to create this high-end exclusive kind of soul house concept in health and fitness. And for me, the only way to do that was starting, because I didn't really have money to put behind a bunch of marketing or anything like that. I was the marketing itself. So for me to kind of start that was to start training a bunch of influencers and celebrities and stuff for free in order to get the name out, so I could start creating a platform. And from the outside, people see just who's associated with what it is. They don't really know in details. And I was able to figure out Beverly Hills and LA, how people's mentality kind of works. So I want to create like the coolest place to be. And that's how I kind of got started. And how long did it take before you knew that you had tapped into the right space, the right lane
vision for yourself?
So I opened up Royal Personal Training in 2013, 800 square feet facility. It was me the most of the time. Then I brought my brother on board and we were working. Usually any businesses, they're not making any money the first year, second year. The first year I made 60,000. But I was working a lot of hours. So obviously throughout the whole year, I'm like, is this worth it for me? Because I'm doing 30 sessions a month and 80% of the performed sessions goes to paying the rent. My calculations were a little bit off. So it was hard, but I always saw the vision. I brought my brother on board in 2014. We made 120,000. But then in 2015, when we got a call from Abel's, which is The Weeknd, he's a big singer. We got a call from his team about a client that wanted to come in and train. And I didn't know who Abel was. I didn't know what the call was. I just thought it was a consultation. So I'm like, yeah, just come on in. And I remember 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, the door knocks on the facility and there's these three big guys standing outside of the door. I'm like, oh my God. And I told my brother, Shahin, I'm like, who are these guys, because they looked so scary. And he was like, I don't know. Don't you have a consult? And I'm like, I do, but I don't think this is the right people. So I open up a door, they introduce themselves. We have a client that are possibly interested in coming in training. And then brought them in and we did a consultation and they ended up buying sessions. And I still didn't know who the client was or what it was. And the next day, Abel comes in, The Weeknd. He comes in with the same crew, one sitting by the door. Now, obviously, I know what securities are, managers are, and stuff like that, but I didn't back then. And we'd take him through a session. And I remember he had put his jacket in my office, and it was an XO jacket. And my brother took a picture of the jacket and sent it to my sister. And my sister was like, where did you see this jacket? And my brother was like, he's at the gym. And my sister is like, what? And they were like, yeah, Shahin is training this guy right now. And it was like, do you know who this guy is? And they were like, no. He said like Abel. And he was like, listen to this song. And she plays his song. And I always listen to his song. And that's when I realized that I have created something special. I could not believe I was training him, but that's when it kind of hit me that, listen, we're on the right track. If this guy's at the gym training with us, we're at the right track. And that gave me full confidence of just going all out.
No formal education. You have a license to personal train people. You went through that program. How did you navigate the complexities of opening a business?
It was tough because I didn't have much help and I had to kind of figure everything out by myself. And I remember I didn't even know where to start. I heard about brokers. I called brokers and they were charging so much money. And I'm like, why do I need a broker to find a facility? I just had to figure everything out myself. I was forced to read. I was forced to educate myself in every possible way to be able to get a place, I was forced to do everything. I was forced to get on a call with the broker of the building that I was going to get. And I didn't know, I just had to trust the process. I didn't know that I needed to put 6 months down in order to get the place because I didn't really have a credit. I didn't have a history. Where I grew up, we didn't have anything such as credit cards or credit or history. It didn't go off of that. It went off of how much money you were making. So I just had to kind of trust and force myself, educate myself in every aspect of everything that I wanted to do. But I was super creative and I was constantly thinking. And then I tried and failed many times. It's not like everything that I tried, everything that I thought about, I got done. It's not like that. People looking at the perfect picture and, oh my God, this is amazing. But behind that, there's a lot of things that went wrong and there's a lot of downfall throughout that process. But those falls you don't market. You grab the great things and you put that out there. But it's definitely not easy. And I failed many times thinking I was in the right and thinking this is how it's going to be done. But no, but I was forced to educate myself. I was forced to figure everything out by myself.
How do you get back up? You market the success, you market the weekend coming to your small facility, which is now a large facility. But how do you get back up? Because we all get knocked down and so many people don't get back up. How did you do that?
It's for me, it's just like a mental strength that I just always had. And it always takes me back to seeing how my parents grew up. And I have so much weight on my shoulders, like back in 7th grade when I took on the role of providing. That role always been there. It just got bigger. So for me, failing or giving up has never, ever, ever been an option. For me, it always had to be to figure out a way, and no matter what. And sometimes I need to take a couple days off everything and everybody and just really either do nothing or do what really made me happy. It might be going on a bicycle ride. It might be going on a walk. It might be going in nature. It might be disconnecting completely from this city and take me back to the roots and clear my mind and then get back at it. But yeah, it's not easy because during a process like that, you will get knocked down. It's never entrepreneurship. Success is never a road that goes up like that. It's never like that. So the people that are successful, they've been through the battle, some of them more than others, but you have to have a very strong mentality. And once you start something like that, you also have to think about the battles along the ride, and are you able to handle these things? I've been, because I grew up in a tough way. So what I've gone through, like right now, it just only gets me stronger. That's what's the beauty of it is. You have to be able to learn first and foremost from your mistake, so you're not doing the same mistakes twice. It's okay. You're supposed to do mistakes, but never do them the twice. Learn from them and keep climbing. And when it hits you down, you just have to go back and see the accomplishment that you've done, and it's okay, and just reconnect and get back on.
Shahin, your journey and your story is so powerful and it's incredible to listen to. What part of that journey in your mind required from you the biggest leap of faith?
Probably it was back in 2019. I had a manager that obviously was running my day-to-day operation, was running majority of the consultation. Then I had 2 very top perform coaches that was almost a third of my business, that all 3 left at once. And it just took such a hit on me. I had 16 trainers back then. 2 of them was a third of my business. So when they left, it just took such a hit, because all the expenses, everything is the same. So when a third of your income just disappears and you have to do the day-to-day operation, you have to do the consults again, then you have to replace 2 people. That's where I learned and understood how to build a more solid business. Don't invest in individual that carry so much of your business. And that's where I went from having 16 trainers, and my focus was having a trainer doing 200 plus sessions, but that wasn't the key. That's where I went from having 16 trainers to 40 trainers, where they each do 4 to 6 sessions a day, 80 sessions a month, where God forbid if 1, 2 go, and more so create this community even more where they love RPT, and then the trainers are just a bonus, but it's more likely RPT. So everything stays in RPT and make it very, very bulletproof. That was like one of the major hit that really took a hard hit on me. And then obviously COVID that almost destroyed me, but got me stronger than ever. So right now I feel like it's so strong, and I'm in such a great hands right now. So yeah.
You've accomplished so much and you've impacted so many people's lives. What are you excited about for the future?
I'm excited about the growth of RPT. I'm excited where we're going. I'm excited about continuing changing people's life. I'm excited about putting RPT in every city, countries there is. I'm excited about bringing something amazing to people and help changing their lives.
Shahin, thank you. Thank you so much for your time today and your willingness to be vulnerable and share your story and your wisdom and your journey with us. I'm grateful to you. I'm very grateful that you took the time today.
I'm very grateful to being a part of it. Thank you so much, Patrick.
Thank you, Shahin. And to those of you who are watching or listening, remember, we all have a voice. Use yours wisely.